right, so it's time to do this. Tag, I'm it. Got roped in on the carousel. So we got the interior panels for this carousel control booth, the Gettin carousel control booth. So just won't be too hard. Just kind of show you what's up, and that way you guys can get down. So let's get after it. So all we got here is lay of the land. That's it. So we have panels, 063 panels. A has its own separate bars for mounting, but everybody else has a typical bar system for all of the rest of the main panels. And then I also included some shims. So look out for these guys here, 063. Again, Operation Supermodel. It's all 063. So to go back to the main work page here, so I have it labeled. I know JR kind of labeled it his own way, but this is kind of how I worked it around. So panel A is the little shorty, and then I just worked my way around. So B, C, D, E. Now, obviously this is easy to remember, but if you also notice I have my chicken scratch, I kind of, if you can figure out what, decipher my writing, but I have it written on the top of each of these segments here. If you go look at the real deal. So everything's pretty much universal except for E and D. The bar actually was welded in okay down here spacing, but this one was kind of over. So it caused these angles to actually be off a little bit. So when you look at the panels for this one, I have W for wonky. So you can see that it's, it makes a difference. It's only 0.3 out from the top there, but it does make these corners a little bit funky. So everything else checks out really well with 90s. So all your different panels should be okay. But when you come to D and E, hopefully that works out. I went ahead and tilted it over so that way it should fit in there nice. So the way this works is you're just going to go ahead and rivet together. You're just going to create these assemblies. You're going to put one inside the other and create these square tubes essentially. And then for A, they have their own little flavor. And then what you're going to do after that is get your 1/4 steel riv nuts. I have those in. I don't know if you have the shorties because it's only 063. So I don't know if the longer ones can get that small. I don't think it'll work. So I brought in some 1/4. Also, I brought in some socket screws. So we're going to use some nice decorative, clean looking. These are low profile socket screws and 1/4. So it all should work out really well. But what I'm thinking though, is you can go ahead and just rack these right away and then go ahead and just get some 1/4, either little bolts or just use screws from our stock and just use those as stunt doubles because you're going to need to kind of assemble these in order to lord them in. So just think Shelly's, the 5x10s we just did. You're going to use the panels themselves as the jigs in order to put the bars in properly. Now, I did recess this back a little bit. I'm expecting where you have your fillet welds in the corners, you might have to kind of massage these a little bit. Also, the whole idea behind this is that we have a just over a 16th all the way around. So that's why I went ahead and gave you some shims. Now, granted, that's in a perfect world. So yeah, you can see here, I put a 0.01 over. So it's 0.0725. But obviously not in a perfect world. So maybe you might want to stomp shear some 050, get some return material and make some little tags for yourself there, some little cards. But theoretically, in a perfect world, you should be able to put 063 all the way around, and you're going to center these into the pockets, each one. Once you get it centered in there and you have the letters where they go corresponding into the panels, into the holes, then you can test fit, make sure it's sexy. And then once you have that ready, then go ahead and pop these out and lords on these guys. So go ahead and put lords on each of these bars and then slide them back in and you should be good to go. I'm thinking what you'll want to do is just set this guy down. Like let's say you're going to do panels E and D. You're just going to go ahead and set it down on its face, get it all test fit, and then just let gravity do the work for you and slide those in and just let them sit there. And then go ahead and turn it and go ahead and do that one and go ahead and do that one, et cetera, et cetera. And just work your way around. What would be kind of cool is maybe on like this middle one right here, or maybe on the two ends, is you double nut a lifting eye. So get yourself a 1/4 lift eye, like John G uses for paint, and then go ahead and put a nut on it so you can still tighten this down, because you'll want to tighten these screws down to hold that bar up against the panel when you go to put it in there. But maybe you could do like one here and one here, or a longer 1/4 bolt that you still just double nut tight, but that gives you a handle to be able to grab these and pop them out easy when you're kind of test fitting them. So yeah, maybe like this one and this one, you could go ahead and put like little long bolts on there and give yourself some handles to work with. But yeah, so that's it though. You're just going to go ahead and get these riveted, get these riv nutted, and then go ahead and install them to the panels, get the panels to fit right, and then just work your way around, lords. And then go ahead and rack up the pretty screws. And then final assembly will just be a nice sexy hex bolt there, and it'll look real clean. Just a heads up, before Jim left, he just made an offhand remark that supposedly they might be mounting controls to this. I think maybe I see it more. Maybe there's a pedestal mount that mounts to the ground. That would be better. But I went ahead and sent this as 063. But if maybe we might have to swap this out if they want later on. We won't say anything, but if they want to go ahead and mount something to this, that's up to them. But once you get these bars installed, then 6 1/4 should hold whatever they need. So also, I did shoot to make sure that all of these are missing all of the holes. You can see where we should be fine. But if something has conflict there, just double check, put in the panel, test fit it, get it lined up nice, and then come around the other side and make sure that I'm not on any of these holes. You can see where I added even the ones that you kind of put in by hand. You should be clear. So, but just make sure that everything does work out that way. And if there's any conflicts, we'll try to resolve that. So we'll deconflict it. So anyway, but that's it. I think that should be everything you need. Hopefully it makes sense. And if you have any questions, hit me up. Check the technique.